Okay, so in this video, I am going to be talking about how to communicate effectively in business meetings. So I'm the founder of a healthcare investment company in UAE, and I have managed to get together some of the most high profile executives in the whole country, including a $3.5 billion company CEO, former CEO, and a top lawyer that has advised on a $13 billion transaction, and several other high profile executives. And over the last 3 years, I have done around 800 to 1,000 presentations over the phone and in person, and which has allowed me to be in positions of negotiating a $3.5 million deal, a $10 million deal, a $25 million deal, and a $120 million transaction, and many more. And I could not have done what I have done if I didn't know how to communicate effectively. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how do you conduct meetings effectively, how do you communicate in business meetings very effectively. So just a brief background, I used to be a very shy boy in social parties, events. I remember my mother used to take me to these get-togethers, evening meetings, and she was a workaholic, so even when we went to the meetings, there was always a purpose, a business angle to it, and we would go to her homes and she would take me and my brother, and we would just sit there. It would be a nice house, someone else's house, and we would typically go to people's house who were much more affluent than our family growing up. And in those meetings, there were a lot of those rich kids sitting at the meetings, and the atmosphere was really nice. And I remember I would wear my most new clothes to these events, but I would always find myself not being able to speak. It was almost like there was no space for me to communicate. And not to mention, I wasn't as good in English at that point, and I did not know what to say. I felt like people did not have a listening ear towards me. Usually I would sit in the corner and there would be another grown-up man who was also shy at the party, and we would end up having a conversation. The reason I'm giving you this background is to show you the contrast from my personality of being extremely introverted to being now leading meetings that have multi-million dollar transactions involved. And in all of the meetings that I have conducted, I was the lead speaker. I was the individual that was the main person, the main decision maker. So that is a pretty remarkable shift. And I did not think that after 15 years, this is what I would be doing. And so I want to share some of the secrets that I have learned over the years, how that development process took place, and how you can implement this so that you can communicate effectively and you can produce the desired outcome that you want after a meeting, and generate opportunities from that, make more money, build strategic alliances that strengthen your position, and get new opportunities. So let's dive a little bit deep into this video on that subject. Okay, so let's talk about before the meeting happens and you have set up a meeting, there is going to be a preparation phase, all right? And believe it or not, the preparation phase is way more important than the meeting itself, because the preparation is where you will actually form your narrative. And this is where you will assess whether you should take a meeting or not take a meeting. There has to always be a purpose behind a meeting, and you have to make sure that you declare that purpose. That purpose should not be a hidden purpose. You want to communicate that intention, that agenda to the person that you're meeting, that this is the purpose of the meeting, so that they can be prepared, you can be prepared, and there can be a desired outcome can be agreed upon. So let's talk about the preparation. And I noticed that these last few years, before taking the meetings, I was very nervous and I was very anxious because I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to expect in these meetings. I was just taking action, and I was finding myself in these positions. And as I was entering these positions, I was sort of discovering what to say. I was discovering angles and situations that I would not have discovered if I didn't take the meeting. So my nervousness started to disappear when I started to gain experience, because now I can start to have some predictability on what's going to happen. And I'm going to show you also how to make your meetings predictable so that you have a desired outcome every single time, or at least you get clarity and you feel very grounded in what you have to say. So because of this, you have to prepare first. And when I initially started, I just started to pull triggers. I was, blazing, and I was just, doing a lot of meetings, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I managed it somehow. But now my meetings are much more prepared. I don't feel as much anxious, and I feel much more in control. Because I feel much more in control, I can take more meetings and I can generate more opportunities. My meetings also last shorter, and a lot of the times I get the desired outcome that I wanted from the meeting. Okay, so let's talk about the preparation phase. The meeting is happening towards an outcome. Okay, the meeting is always happening inside of fulfilling a certain outcome that you want and the person in front of you wants. So this outcome is connected with your overall goals in life. And before you take any meeting, it's important that you write down your overall goals of your life, long-term goals. I'm talking about 10-year goals, 15-year goals, 25-year goals, so that you understand whether this meeting is even connected to that goal or not. If this meeting is not, the moment you write, and you will not know if this meeting is connected to that goal or not if you don't write the goal. So you wouldn't know where you have to go or what the way towards the destination would be if you don't put the location on the Google Maps. Only when you put the destination, that's when the pathway opens up to that destination. But until you put the destination, the pathway does not open up. You are just kind of an open possibility. So you got to make sure that there is a goal, your overall life goal. And using this goal is going to be your North Star. And this will determine, the goal determines whether the meeting happens or not. It's no longer personal, because it's really the goal deciding whether it's a relevant meeting or not. So if you think that the meeting is not going to lead to the goal, why would you take the meeting? So just doing this simple exercise will save you a lot of time and remove a lot of unnecessary people out of your life which are not connected to your ultimate goal. So that's number one, is the overall goal and how the meeting ties up into that goal. Okay, so just how there is an overall goal, there is a goal of the meeting, the outcome, which is connected to that overall picture. Okay, now your ultimate goals and your the goal of the meeting has to be in some way connected to the person in front of you and their goals and their desires. If it's not connected, then there is going to be no synergy between you two, and the purpose of the meeting is not there. So for example, when I was a child and I was going to these meetings, there was really no purpose for me to speak. There was really no synergy of goals, so conversation could not take place. It's not just that I was shy, I was in the wrong place. So if you feel out of place, you go to an environment and you feel out of place. Maybe you are out of place, maybe that place is not even aligned with your goals. So you need to extract yourself from that situation and go to a place where you are aligned, where you feel aligned with people there. And most of the people make a mistake here. They say yes to things. They say yes to going to social gatherings, parties, events, meetings that really have no purpose, no place in their life. Now, once you are there, how are you going to have anything to say? You're not going to have anything to say. So hence you will keep quiet and you will just get bored out of your mind and you will feel burnt out at the end of the night or day or the meeting. It has no place in your life. So that's the first thing I want you to do, is eliminate those meetings so that you have time and space to take more of the meetings that are aligned with your goals. Okay, and learn to say no. Once you write down your goal, anything that comes your way that is inconsistent with that goal, that's a no. I remember my girlfriend, when she was building her business, she was taking so many meetings with authors and, I wrote a book and I want to give you this book. The author is inviting her, and I was like, why are you taking this meeting? Having coffees over and over, and it just doesn't make any sense to do these meetings. But she would just keep going, and she wasted so much time. So I tell her now that you remember I told you not to take that meeting. It was complete waste of time. It was really fulfilling their agenda, not yours. So the goals are not connected and you're having a meeting for no reason. So outcome of the meeting has to be connected to your overall goal, and the outcome of the meeting, your goals and the person in front of you have to be aligned in terms of the outcome. There has to be some synergy, some possibility. It doesn't have to be short thing, but there has to be some possibility for a partnership, for an alignment, a short-term alignment, a long-term alignment, but some form of a synergy for you to collaborate with each other so that the meeting makes sense. Once the meeting makes sense, it's very easy from there, because all you have to figure out is the points that you need to agree on, and that's it. Okay, so we will dive a little bit deeper on that. So there are two variables. There is you and there is the person in front of you. You have got pain, you have got desires, you have got goals. Okay, you know them very well. If you don't know them, you don't have any leverage. So you make sure you know what's bothering you, what is your pain point, what are your desires, and what are your goals. Once you know, okay, you have clarity. This is what I want, this is what's bothering me, and the desires and the goals are always coming from pain. You don't want to be in that position. You want to be in a dream position, in a dream state, in a dream position. So you got to know about yourself. What's the pain point and what is the desired outcome you want? Once you know that, then you got to get out of your shoes and put yourself in other person's shoes. And you got to think from their perspective, what is his desires or her desires, and what are her goals, and what are her pain points. And this right now, you're doing this exercise before a meeting, maybe when you're going in your car. It takes 10-15 minutes. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. I would do most of this at the back of the car when I'm moving towards the meeting. Okay, so I'm thinking from their point of view. What's their age? Are they married? Are they unmarried? And what's the position they are in? Why are we meeting? What's the potential collaboration? What's the purpose of the meeting, etc., etc. So I'm writing it down, and inside of that I go very detailed and deep. For example, one of my roles is to meet healthcare business owners. So I always sit down and write down, okay, and my purpose is I want to buy the company so that I can build a portfolio and exit, so that I can travel the world and acquire a whole bunch of things that I want to acquire from the money that comes. But in the short term, I want to build a portfolio. So they want to sell their business. Why? Because they want to spend more time with their kids, their wife, their parents, whatever the reason. I have to anticipate what those are. And once you really do this exercise of thinking from their perspective and your own perspective both simultaneously, and you understand what their pain is and what do they want. Once you know both these things, you have got leverage, my friend. You have got power. You can tailor your communication to fulfill your needs and their needs. And it has to be a mutual benefit. You cannot, if you abandon yourself and just fulfill their needs, it will not work. If you abandon them and just talk about yourself, me, you've met those people who just talk about themselves, nobody can connect with them. Okay, so you got to make sure that you understand your needs and their needs and find a way to tie this all together inside of a deal. Okay, and in most cases, what we want out of life translate itself into a number. Right? You want to go meet your mother, you got to book a flight, the flight costs money, it's a number. Okay, you want to travel somewhere, you want to find a beautiful woman to marry, you like Latinos for some reason, you got to fly to Brazil, Spain, wherever, you get the point, and it'll have a number. Right? So you want a nice car to impress this girl, that car will have a number. You want a nice penthouse to impress her, that penthouse will have a number. So everything that we want really comes down to numbers. And you would have seen in the movies, they ask, okay, tell me, what's the number? What's the number? And it happens in American movies because Americans, they like to get straight to point. What's the number? Come on, give me the number. Let's stop wasting time. Give me the number, and let's see if we can deliver. If there is an agreement, a deal or no deal, okay? So you got to understand all of this, and then you got to orchestrate a deal, a solution that you both agree on, and to collaborate. You provide them something, they provide you something, and there is an agreement. After the agreement, there is, agreement on the numbers. What are their numbers? What are your numbers? The numbers in exchange for value, in exchange for a problem that you are solving, you receive something, or if you want a problem solved, you write a check and they solve your problem, whatever the deal is. Okay, so you have to have all these points prior to the meeting, and once you have all of this ready, all the nervousness, all the anxiety, everything will disappear, because now you have a purpose to speak. Your entire communication is going to be aligned to help them get out of the position they are in into their dream position, and also you got to look out for yourself. So you can present that offer also. Okay, now you have understood the narrative. Now you got to also have a conversation on risk and objection handling, because you may not have yet thought about things that may not go your way in the meeting. So you need to think about, from their position, why would they say no to me? Ask yourself this question: if they have to say no to this deal, why would they say? What are the reasons? Okay, and you write down those reasons. And then you write down solutions to those reasons. So why would they say no? What could be their fears, their concerns? So now you're not only inquiring about their pain and their desires and goals, you're also inquiring about their apprehensions, their fears, their insecurities about making a decision, and uncertainties, the risk that they would be taking if they say yes to you. So you got to make sure that you address those points and you can provide them with as much certainty and confidence as you can, and obviously honestly, with integrity, in compliance with the law. Those are aspects of business ethics that I cover in the business ethics section. There is a whole playlist on that. So you need to make sure that the solution is legitimate, you're being honest, and it's a genuine solution. If it's not genuine, they're going to know. So you've got to make sure it's really the case. You're really solving the problem. Okay. So once you have done that, and once you have helped them turn that risk around, it's just upside from there. And you will have a successful meeting. Okay. So just a final closing remarks. I have had, whenever I'm speaking to the former CEO of this $3.5 billion company, before I speak, in most cases, he knows what I'm calling for. The first time I called him after we met, he said, "Oh yes, our meeting, right? When do you want to meet? 12 o'clock Saturday?" And was done. So he knows why I'm calling, because he's always thinking from my position. You are always leading people from the position they are in, from where they are seated. You're not leading anybody from the position where you are seated. That's where you are seated. You're leading them from where they are to where they want to go. They're not going to go to a place where they don't want to go. They are going to a place where they want to go. And you can be the one leading them there, assuming, there is a mutual interest there. Okay. So, this is what I learned from Chris Voss, is his book, Never Split the Difference. It's a book on negotiation that I read. Absolutely fabulous book. Anyway, so whenever I am speaking to this CEO, as soon as I call him, he knows what I'm calling for. Next time I call him, I said, and he immediately said, "You have a deal?" I said, "Yes." And I was like, whoa. I had formed the whole argument of what I'm going to say to him, and he just said what I wanted to say in one word. "Okay, when do you want to meet to discuss?" 12 o'clock Friday, is it okay? Four Seasons Hotel? Okay, done. I was like, wow. The most amazing thing is that I have very short meetings with him, because he's so effective. Because that's the position he was in. He was a CEO of a public company. He has to be fast and efficient and get the job done, and also have some time for himself. And this is how he figured out, is the way he communicates. It's absolutely brilliant. He's also a great public speaker. And one day I can reveal the name. Maybe one day I can even bring him to the channel. So that's really how you speak effectively, how you conduct business meetings effectively. You got to think from your position, their position, know what the outcome is that you want, know what the outcome is, what the other person want, tie them together, and typically it comes out to an exchange of some numbers, in exchange of value proposition, legal, ethical, honest, all right, and you close. And typically at the end, there's going to be some action points. So once you have agreement on all of this, before the agreement, there can be some negotiation, some objection handling. You resolve that, and then assuming you have complete agreement. Once you have the agreement, there's going to be action points at the end. So you say, okay, this is what I want you to do, and this is what I will do, and then we'll do this, and we will close. And that's a successful meeting. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that subscribe button. I post one video every single day. I'll talk to you soon.